a north-south line and an east-west line. That way you don't have to babysit a shadow stick. It works while you're in bed. While you're sleeping, this thing's working. In the morning you set it up and it's done. I'm gonna show you guys, I think it's tomorrow, how to make a traveling sun compass. And we'll use this to calibrate that compass. So you have to do the shadow stick thing one time to calibrate the traveling compass. So doing that while you're sleeping is just like trapping. You know, why babysit something if you can just leave it, right? So this thing is pretty much that accurate. Let's see if I got that lined up right. Now I've got that dot over that stick. Pretty good. So it's pretty close.
Wow, go easy, just warming up the set to start with. As I start, you feel that sound. I'm after a dark brown coal as well. If it's too light, it means it's not enough friction. Now I start increasing the downward pressure and in the speed. I'm only very bespoke mopeds here.
Yeah, top and bottom.
Long strokes, parallel strokes to the ground. I'm going to go an extra longer. Whoop. You want that to happen, 1, 2 extra. Doesn't matter because you've got a coal. See how that's shouldered out? It's okay. But I've got a massive coal. Mixed with a bit of dust, I flipped out right at the end. Poor technique. Now, you don't have to rush this to put it in. And it's not the choice. In a cold environment, you want to get that off the ground, as long as it's not windy. This needs time to congeal and stick together. If you rush and put it in your tinder bundle too early, it hasn't stuck together and you'll blow it through. That's the other big cause. The reason we're giving it time, you could wait for this 4 or 5 minutes. You need to give it time to stick together. Any earlier than that, and the stuff that isn't stuck together will just blow through and you've wasted it. That is the reason to let it grow. It needs to congeal.
So Gordon, it's picking up all the other bits of dust that haven't. It's
I'm putting all those in there. In a cold climate, you need to get that off the ground as well, providing that wind's not there. I could let that go quite happily for a couple of minutes. You can see that's starting to stick together because I don't want that to come apart when I put it in here. That's really, really important. And you don't want to get your moisture from your breath on it, so I use my hand, just don't knock it out of the way. I'm trying to get that to stick together. You put it in too fast and it will spread and blow away, and all the fine stuff will spread. Now that's all as one lump. I then close it around the coal, using a pea. Breathe. Now if there's moisture in the air, that's not going to happen that fast. You notice these hector stalks aren't smooth either.
No.
The other thing, if you don't have like tough ends, after a couple of goes, you start to bruise your bloody. Maybe not the same day. You know?
I got sweat. First time I can remember a big drop of sweat came off my nose.
Yes.
No! Right.
All right, so we got a number there.
Nice.
Same story. Kind of let that thing breathe a little bit. Protect it from the wind, because the other advantage to a bow drill is it gives you a much bigger ember. These embers aren't very big.
And the wind picks up just as you've got it.
Yeah, once the wind picks up, then they're really not that big.
Dave owes me a beer, you see. The amber you got is much smaller with the hand drill. So it's even more crucial that your tinder is perfect because you've only got 1/3 the size of your bow drill. So you've got to have it right.
Hey.
I get a big flat bastard. I'll get one myself.
Next picture, I thought it came around some pictures.
Marcus, pick a number between 1 and 10.
4.
Correct.
All right.
You get to fill in the hole. Thanks for volunteering.
I do not have any pet.
Carrot chocolate. Carrot soup.
Got hot rock cafe. We just go back the same way we come, huh?
Oh, it's a bit windy.
That'll help you. That's a beautiful set, man.
Nice.
Don't go any faster than that. Keep the downward pressure in there. All right, now speed up one gear. Speed up.
Faster?
Yep. So now hit it hard. Okay. Stop. You got a number.
We do too. Oh.
Back off of it.
Or is it the smoke? This is just from the timber.
No, we did get it. You got it. Excellent.
Well done.
Good gear.
Got your bird nest?
No, I just think I could get it.
Hot preparation.
I'm going to let it burn the paper bark instead.
That's right.
Can it burn the paper?
Probably. It probably would if you let it sit there long enough for the ember to burn down into the paper bark. It probably would. Then you could probably coax that paper bark into flame.
How's this amateur?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Kids will never understand me.
Now start spreading stuff out.
If you're walking through the bush and suddenly this stick is following you, that's because it's attached to your leg and it's a big black snake.
So how do you get them to let go?
Well, I wouldn't ask them nicely, I'd use extreme violence.
And these are all local species, yeah?
Yeah,
That we get right here.
yep. So king browns have dropped off a lot here thanks to cane toads, but we still see them a lot. This guy's actually from down the track a little bit. And the ones I find that are from down the track are a little bit calmer than the Darwin ones.
So globally, just to clarify, how many of the poisonous species do we have here in Australia?
So I'm showing you the main. So the top, when you look at the top 10 most venomous snakes in the world, depending on how you measure that top 10, depends on what you get. If you went on morbidity, on deaths, Australia doesn't come anywhere near it. We get up to 140,000 deaths from snake bites, and most of those occur in third world countries. Those third world country deaths are not necessarily from the venom; they're from the poor healthcare. There's up to 500,000 people lose limbs in third world countries every year, and if you live in somewhere like India or poor parts of Africa and you lose a limb, you're essentially dead anyway, because most of the occupations for a male involve manual labour. If you've lost a hand, a finger, a thumb to a bite, say, from a puff adder, you can no longer work the farm. If you happen to be working as a female and you can't work in a farm and you lose a hand, you're done. Same thing as if you lose a hand as an unmarried female in India, well, no one ain't going to marry you because you can't cook and clean. So the morbidity is really high. If you compare snake venoms on how they kill mice, which is what we call the LD50 test in Australia, Australian snakes win at it every time, but we also we made that test. Yet we only lose about 3 or 4 people a year from snake bite in Australia. And of that, we get about 3,500 people present in Australian hospitals with snake bite. Of that, we get 300 to 400 that actually need antivenom, and then we get 3 to 5 people that die every year. Old mate's been a bit of a jerk at the moment, but I'll bring him around. I just want you to see that he's got no apricot splotches. So he's actually got what we call big scales like a barramundi. Get down, jerk. He's got, if you hear the head there, he's got quite large lumps behind his head, and they're where the venom glands are. So obviously, you know, if you're on the island and full of these guys, if you ate his head, you would ingest that venom, and because it has to go over your tongue and through your gums, you would get sick. So the other thing for this guy is he eats other snakes and he eats reptiles, so the likelihood of him having parasites is almost guaranteed.